Hi, everyone. Welcome to One Drop at a Time.
We're a podcast that explores developing our relationship with the Savior and filling our lamp one drop at a time.
Thank you for taking the time to like and share our podcast.
Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Did we already start?
Yeah,
Dadgummit.
we just started.
Okay.
Well, we're on a brand new topic, which is really exciting for us. We are going to be talking about gratitude. Gratitude is actually a very powerful blessing. Having gratitude really is something that can help us through some of the hardest things.
So life-changing.
And will add oil to your lamp. So that's why we're bringing it up.
Yeah.
But before we do, Kristen, what have you been doing?
This morning we had a really fun morning because my son was in town from Idaho, and on Tuesday mornings I was babysitting two of my grandkids. Today I had three of them because the youngest one was upset that she had to stay in the car with her mom. And so I had those three, and then I had my son's little daughter, and they just were so happy together. They, besides the little mini wars, but they just had so much fun playing, and it was just so cute to see them all out there smiling. Anyway, it was great.
Well, you guys already know what I'm doing. Actually, I've been over helping the girls get the storefront ready. The storefront's been closed a couple weeks, and there's not a lot of change. Like, it's been painted. We've added some subtle nerdiness to it. And Brittany, my youngest, is stressing out about just how much work it really is to redo a storefront. So we're going to try and do a soft opening by tomorrow, but it certainly isn't ready. So I've been doing wallpaper, little secret Star Wars wallpaper on different shelves. So it's not real obvious, but it's all there. It's going to be fun.
It'll grow. It'll grow if, just keep adding things.
Well, and I think, life is challenging. And yesterday, since we're talking about gratitude, I thought, man, these poor kids have to redo this whole storefront. And they have to do all these things and so on and so forth. And then I remembered, I'm studying gratitude. So maybe I should be grateful they're going through some difficult things. The first door is always the hardest, but, you learn from the first one. The second one gets a little bit easier. And,
So that's what we're going to talk about, like with gratitude. So we're going to kind of try to define what gratitude is, talk about the different aspects of gratitude, what grows it, what prevents it. And then next week, we're going to talk about like gratitude and the marriage of gratitude and adversity. And our final segment, I really hope that we stay in this order, but our final segment is like thriving in gratitude, where, like you're a water skier and you're just bending your knees over the wake, and whether you're high or low, you live on a plane of gratitude.
Yeah, you learn to have gratitude in your circumstance. We're going to talk about gratitude and how we can have gratitude towards other people, gratitude for what they do for us, gratitude to God for what he does for us, and then moving on to learning how to have gratitude in the circumstance that we're in, good or bad.
So, Jenny, I get to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
What is gratitude to you?
Gratitude to me is really being thankful for all the things that are around me, thankful for the people in my life, thankful for what people do for me. That would be my initial response of what gratitude is.
So how the heck does that help your life be better?
Well, it's like the glass half empty or the glass half full. It's perspective. It's all happening around us. We have bad things happen to us and good things happen to us. And how do we decide to take it? Like, are we going to be grateful for the situation that we're in, good or bad? Or are we going to be a Debbie Downer and everything's crap all the time?
So Jenny and I were talking about this before. And I really think this is how Christ was able to fulfill the atonement, was that he looked forward to the future. He doesn't have time. Like, he can see the end result of our lives. And he looks at Jenny standing there triumphant before God. And the Lord's like, well done, my good and faithful servant. He looks forward to that. And then he's like, all the things that are on her path before she gets there, they're just steps. They're just hurdles. It's just a steeplechase, you know, sometimes you land in the puddle, but because he sees where she's going to get, he's able to suffer through all those things until she gets there because he's focused on that. And Jenny now is back here and she can't see the end result, but she has faith in the end result. So she's like, okay, Lord, I'm going to be grateful for whatever you put in my path because I know where I'm going.
Yeah. And I look at, for me, my end life is the promises, the things that I've been promised if I stay faithful. So sometimes in the middle of the hardship, I have to think about it. You know, am I going to keep this long-term, blessing in the forefront, which I think helps me get through some of the challenges that we have. Because if I want this type of relationship with the Lord, I have to get there. And getting there isn't awfully easy. You know, we have our challenges. He's got to refine us. His whole purpose is to change us and help us along this path.
Right. And if you don't have difficulties, you cannot climb. You know, if you're trying to get up high and you don't have a mountain to climb up, which is exhausting, you can't get up high. You can't get the view. So like we have to be grateful for our problems because those give us the opportunity to have the view that we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we were talking about two different phases of gratitude, feeling gratitude and expressing gratitude. You have a thought on either one of those?
Do you want to go with feeling first?
Yes.
Okay.
So feeling gratitude. So that's what we're talking about right now is I think that's the place to start. And I love a story I heard on the Comeback podcast by Don Bradley just today. My son pointed that out to me. That so Don Bradley, quite a well-known historian in the church now, grew up pretty devout. They were converts. His parents were converts, and he grows up loving the church, and his parents are really helpful to him, you know. But then eventually he starts kind of like, well, I don't know, you know, he starts having the doubts that people have, and he gets to the point where he's rejected the gospel as a young man. And this is after he's been he's a reader. He's reading everything. Mm-hmm. And most of people, I think, we come to this point as an older person, but he did this as a, probably 20-year-old and after his mission and stuff. But he's reading all this stuff and he starts having questions. He rejects it. Sorry, this is a longer story than I thought. But anyway, he said that eventually he didn't even believe in God anymore, hardly, like a little bit. And so then he was depressed. He was sad. He didn't realize it, but he was just worn out. And at that point, he read a book about gratitude. And he's like, well, I think I could be grateful. Maybe I'll be grateful. But he wasn't going to be grateful to God. He was just going to be grateful. And he found that was unfruitful, that did not give him the joy and the rejuvenation, and that did not give him the oil in his lamp that he needed to feel joy. And so first we got to start to feel grateful. He had to look for things he was grateful for, and we start recognizing those things.
It's hard when we're not grateful. When we're the Debbie Downer, we don't see anything that we can be grateful in. So it's an uphill climb sometimes. I mean, especially when you're just deciding, look, I need to find something that I can be grateful for.
Right. So that's why we started the Big Hope letters when we started that initially, because we wanted people to look at the little grains of gratitude that are in your life, like the sand. Like, okay, I'm going to tell that story. So like, that object lesson that, this is supposed to be for next time, but the object lesson of you have the rocks. This is usually talk about when you're going to have, how to do all the things in your life and how to get the most important things in, like the gospel is the rocks. You have your mason jar, and you have some big rocks that you put in, and those are big things. And in this example, we're going to say those are the big things you can be thankful for. Yeah. Like I didn't just get hit by a car. I had money when I had a crisis, like kind of the big things.
Well, even the basics, man. I have a roof over my head. I
Yeah.
have a house that I can afford the payment on. I have a car. You know, we
Yeah.
have food on the table. These are so generic that we all have.
Well, let's make that the gravel.
Okay.
So we have our big rocks, which are a few memorable things in our mason jar. And then you have all these kind of things, your house, your health, all those little things that we kind of take for granted sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because until you are going to get evicted or something, then all of a sudden it becomes a big rock, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so you have the little rocks, but then the sand that you pour into the jar. So you first have your big rocks, then you put your gravel, but you still have space in your jar for sand. Okay. And so sand is the tiny things like, you're thankful that somebody smiles at you at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right? You get into your car and it's hot, but it feels good just for that first second because maybe you were chilly,
Or maybe the sun has just popped out for a second on a rainy day.
Yes, the sand of gratitude. That is where you get to be satiated and filled and permeated with gratitude. And so we can start looking for the sand because sometimes we want the rocks.
Yeah.
But we start with the sand. And it's not we don't put that in the jar, but we have to start recognizing the little tiniest things. And then we realize that we are surrounded by blessings from the Lord. Just totally, we're swimming in blessings, but we just haven't been noticing them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of similar with miracles too. We don't see the miracles because we're really not looking for them. And then as you really start to look at the little fine details of what he's doing, these little movements that you might see, all of a sudden you start seeing more and more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just being willing to pay attention to what is happening in your life.
Right. And that's when you start to feel it. But you have to develop that. Nobody can develop that for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it basically takes you saying, wow, I like that. I could be grateful for that. I like that my daughter came and gave me a hug today. I could be grateful for that. I can tell her, thank you for that hug. That means something to me. And I can tell God, thank you that Eliza gave me a hug.
Yeah.
That she told me she loved me today.
And I mean, there's value in that. You recognize it first. You've got to recognize him in your life, or what beautiful things he's doing in your life, or the good that's happening around you. And then the next step is saying that, I am grateful for you.
Right.
I am grateful to my husband for taking care of all the payments right now.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that the girls are redoing the whole storefront. It's nice for me to sit back and be grateful, but there's added value to letting those girls know, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And it trains other. If I am constantly expressing gratitude to my kids, then my kids are going to learn to be grateful because it's such a common part of their life.
Yeah, and it's the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
So you do your part and it extends on out to how many people. So you've maybe said thank you to one person. That could have affected them, that they reached out and said to 3 people, and so on and so forth. We pass it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like contagious, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so this is good. I don't think that I did the Don Bradley story very well, but I just love that he had to learn that gratitude isn't really gratitude unless it's faith-based. So that's kind of important. Like there's kind of a cosmic gratitude that you can have, which is basically just like, wow, I'm happy that the sun is shining, or I'm really grateful that I didn't have to pay that tax. I just the other day had a guy was expecting a $2,000 electrical bill for my new AC at my apartment. And Neil Waters came in yesterday and he said, "Oh, look at this. You took your gas stove out and there's a double breaker in your power box that we can use for your AC." And anyway, he went, "We could do this for $300."
Yeah.
I mean, those things happen. Now I totally lost track of where I was.
It's okay. They happen all the time. We're just learning how to recognize them.
Yes, just
and to voice these little parts of gratitude. And I was doing a lot of study on this. We really do research what people have gone through, experiences they've had, so on and so forth. And it's sometimes it's easier to see it. Sometimes we're grateful to receive it. It's important that we reciprocate and we give that gratitude back. And sometimes, I mean, it's really hard to be grateful. Let's talk about that for a minute.
yeah, tell that awesome
Yeah,
bathtub story.
I read the story
So
about
good.
this guy who said, I grew up on a farm, and he said, this was my heaven. I loved growing up here. I had a roof over my head that had less shingles than roof. I had to go out through a winding path to get to the bathroom. I had just as many holes in my shirt, or more holes in my shirt, than I did buttons. His favorite thing was taking a cold bath in front of a warm wood stove, on a Saturday. And that was heaven for him. And then he went to school. And we all know what's coming, right? Goes to school. Now there are kids that are his age that have never had to work. They have nicer things. Their life just seems so easy. And so what happens when we see that? I mean, it's our natural tendency to do this. It's our natural man to say, well, how come they have all this stuff and I don't? That's not really fair. And now I'm mad about it. Now all of a sudden what was heaven to me, prior to going to school is crap, because all these other people have something wonderful. And that really is, what is that coming in? That's jealousy coming in. It's the opposite of being grateful, because we cannot see the gratitude anymore. We're in a tough situation. And I think you look at people all over the world, and some of the most grateful people are the people that have nothing.
Right.
They have a shack over their head. They don't have shoes. They learn to be grateful for where they're at. They don't have a lot of comparisons going on. Here we are in this place. We all have different houses. We've got better cars. We've got whatever. And if we get into that game of comparison,
Yeah,
we lose the opportunity to find gratitude in our situation.
and it's also comparative. Like actually, my son that's visiting me just got back from going to Tijuana to a wedding, and he said that they went to this house, and it was a very, in his mind, because he's never been to Mexico before, it was a humble house. It wasn't very big, but it was the nicest house on the street where they were. And we were just talking about how, like, if that family that lived in that house worried about, coming to the United States to their relatives and who had a bigger house, they could be very discontent in their house. Yeah. But if they looked around at their neighbors, they could think they were superior because they had more house. So this is like this gratitude thing is really a game where you have to squelch Satan and say, look, these are my blessings, and I'm going to praise the Lord for them. These are my blessings. You might not think they're blessings, but these are my blessings, and I will dwell on these blessings. Yeah. I don't have every blessing, but these are the blessings that I have.
And I think when you start to focus on those blessings, you're able to let go of what your expectations are, even for yourself, because that is another thing that will hold us back in having gratitude. Well, man, I thought I would be here by now, and I'm not. I mean, we all think that, man. Yeah. If we're looking at not being grateful for what we have, or there's something else that we always want and desire more, it's harder to find that gratitude. So you find that gratitude where you're at.
Yeah. And sometimes you find out that the things, like this little boy on the farm, sometimes you find out that the things that you think are magical and beyond and, the ultimate, you find out that later, like, especially as we grow up, wow, I had this idyllic childhood, and my parents loved us. We had harmony in our home. We ate healthy things, and now my life is blessed by eating carrots and, farm food, and sometimes our blessings are not obvious at first, especially when we were comparing to things.
We got to wrap this one up, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, the most important thing at this point is find something to be grateful for. If we will look and try and create this attitude of gratitude, it moves us into a holier place with the Lord. That's what He wants from us. Be grateful for what we've got. We don't have everything, but
Realize gratitude is a serious life hack. This is how your life can be nice and wonderful no matter what the circumstances are.
yeah. So next time we're going to talk about the next level.
Level up.
Which is exciting. So, I mean, this is super basic what we're talking about. Still, you and I are all here often because sometimes we hit this place where we don't have the gratitude that I think we need to have. It's line upon line. So we'll get to this level, then we'll get to the next level. And then in some area of our life, we then learn to find gratitude in that we haven't found gratitude in before. But that's next time, guys.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute.
See you later.
Bye.